Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are watching us in the world, and welcome to, of course it is, Premier Sim Gaming League, sponsored and brought to you by GT Omega. This is F1 24, this is the PlayStation split of Season 39, and it is F1 round number 6 at one of the most famous venues on the Formula 1 calendar. It is, of course, the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. And I'm very much looking forward to what is going on. Before we go into the nitty-gritty of what happened 7 days ago in Austria, we have quite a bit to get through, to be honest, as well as a change in championship leader in the commentary box, the virtual commentary box. At the moment, it is a solo job. It is myself, Tom, and only myself, Tom. The legend that is Byron Hale will be joining us anytime between now and, fingers crossed, the start of the race. But you're going to have to put up, unfortunately, with me for the next 18 minutes or so. And in the early stages of qualifying, let's have a quick recap if you missed the action from the Red Bull Ring. And it was quite a lot of action, it has to be said. And Epic Vale picked up the victory, fourth different winner in 5 races, and has now ascended to the top of the Drivers' Championship by 1 point ahead of the absent Cameron Dowd, who, we announced it last week, was leading the way for Aston Martin, has left PlayStation F1 to move over to the PC split. Epic Vale now with a 5-point championship lead over R. Matei, who had won back-to-back races, but a little bit of a difficult time in Austria. Didn't qualify very well and only recovered to position number 11. Rounding out the rest of our top 5, we have TF10 Brando in the Haas, who, as you can see, has retired from the session. We will get into that in a few moments' time. And Francesco Largo, who won the season opener in Bahrain and has, after missing rounds 2 and 3, come back with a 5th and an 8th place in the last couple of races, leaving them on 25 points. Constructors' Championship, that is incredibly close between the top 5 as well. Aston Martin leading it by 2 points ahead of Mercedes, 48 to 46. Sauber also on 46, Alpine with 43, and Red Bull on 40. It is the Papaya McLaren outfit at the bottom, holding the wooden spoon as it stands on 12 points, 2 behind V-Carb. As we watch TF10 Dirk rounding A-Tree, the first driver to do so on a flying lap. Actually, the 2 Williams cars leading the way. Let's have a little bit of a talk about what happened last week in Austria, because we had a big collision late on and quite a few penalties handed out. So the final classification behind Epic Vale, the race winner for the Kick Sauber team. TF10 Ryan for Red Bull, Mario's Formula for Ferrari in 3rd, Lifebound in 4th for McLaren, and Alex Lofer in 5th. Marios and Lifebound scoring points for the very first time this season, so congratulations to the pair of them. But looking at the plethora of incidents, we've got Alex Lofer across the line in 2nd place, but 1 licence point and a 5-second penalty after crossing the pit entry line. Not good news for them, bumped them from 2nd down into 5th. And similarly, Lafiti in the Haas, same penalty, 5 seconds added to their time. They crossed the line in P5, relegated down into position number 9, which they'll be a little bit disappointed about, but it is a slam dunk penalty, unfortunately for them. Looking at other incidents, we had a bit of collusion going on as TF10 Dirk has invalidated on their first time. The benchmark would have been a 25.6. Max von der Geest in the twin Williams car, 25.5, and the championship leader slotting in just behind. Let's go on board with Azam, who we're delighted to say is actually in the lobby, coming up through the Vale chicane as Byron has joined the session, so I think he'll be jumping in very, very shortly. Round club corner we go with the Papaya McLaren. It is taking a while to come in. It's a 25.6. Back to the penalties, though. We're going to join somebody at the start of the lap. Let's go with Ryder in the Kick Sauber. No, that's not worked out. They're on the medium tyres coming towards the Vale chicane. But yes, suspended disqualification and race bans for Sergio, the Epic Vale, Armateur, Francesco Largo and Brando for some collusion and some access to information they shouldn't have had. We're not going to go into too much depth about that one because it is a bit of a sticky subject. 3 licence points plus a quali ban and a 5-second penalty for their next event for TF10 Brando, who you can see has already retired from the qualifying session. And that was an unsafe region. We saw a massive slam on the final lap coming through turn 3, 36 to 36, claiming a number of drivers. Brando deemed to be at fault for that collision and picking up some hefty penalties for it. TF10 Dirk picked up a 10-second penalty under the safety car. That was removed, so after finishing, I think, down in the lower reaches of the points, no, outside the points in 12th place, that 10-second penalty removed, bumped up into 5th for the Williams. And the final one, the second driver with a qualifying ban, it is Sergio, the reigning F2 champion, causing a collision, 2 licence points, no footage sent in, and a qualifying ban to boot as well. And I'm delighted to say that 6 minutes into the session, the legend that is Byron Hale has jumped in.
Well, good evening. Yes, quite the interesting set of circumstances that mean I'm here late, and we're not maybe running quite as optimally as we normally would be, but nothing changes in the grand scheme of things for any of these drivers. It is still going to be absolutely full steam ahead here around Silverstone. Look at how smoothly I jumped into the commentary, almost as smoothly as we are 6 minutes into the session, right down, beginning, I believe, a new lap. A few drivers on out laps as well. Lifeboat Ryan, Johan and Matteo coming up towards starting a new lap, and Matteo leading these gaggle of cars who are about to go on their first flying runs of this session.
100%. The Alpine driver was expected to take the championship lead post-race in Australia, but a difficult weekend, unlike our Matteo, the reigning champion, but waiting until most other drivers have gone out. A couple of invalidations thrown in there. Dirk and Enzo Sabaton falling foul of the track limits. And we are on board with the Alpine driver in this first sector. Lovely first sector if you can get it hooked up. Got to avoid these sausage curbs on the inside of turns 3 and 4 because they can spit you into the grass, gravel and potentially Armco as well. Flat through Aintree Corner and down the Wellington straight up towards Brooklands, Luffield and Woodcote Corner. Two corners that feel never-ending, it has to be said. Through the long left-hander of Brooklands and swing it back through the long right-hander of Luffield. Just got to be as patient as possible. Wait, and then you can get the right foot smashed into the floor of the cockpit and head off through Woodcote up towards the old turn 1, of course, Copse Corner, where we saw infamously, I think is the best way to put it, Hamilton and Verstappen crashing in 2021. Absolutely flat as you like. And now, arguably the most famous sequence of corners in F1, Maggots, Beckers and Chapel. Not quite as daring as it used to be maybe 30 or 40 years ago, but still a lovely sequence of corners as Ryder Dowd was retired in the pits, was going for laps on the medium tyres. Looking so far so good for the reigning champion. Technically second in the standings if we are discounting the absent Cameron Dowes through Stowe Corner. Now chuck it in. Total commitment required. Avoid the track limits on the exit. Going to claim a number of victims throughout this qualifying and race session, and then into the Vale chicane. Can get a little bit unstable on the session curbs and on the traction, and through the final corner of Club. What is it going to be for the reigning champion? It is provisional pole. Lowest driver in the 125.5s. 4 members of that little club, and by 200ths of a second, the Alpine leads the RB of Alex Lofer.
Yes, indeed. Not looking too shabby for plenty of drivers at the moment, but Matteo doing a good job at the moment. Ryan will be one of the next drivers to come across the line. In fact, he will be the next driver to come across the line and finish his flying lap. So the TF10 man, he's certainly handy in qualifying. He's certainly handy in the races as well, but only 12th for the Dutchman, who won't be necessarily too happy with that. But now TF10 Dirk, one of his fellow Dutchman, and he's certainly in a reasonable place in this qualifying session. He's not got a lap time on the board, but he knows he has the pace, and he'll be reining the neck out of the car. He's got plenty of pace in hand, no doubt about that one. But this tricky final sector, enter sector 2, should I say, that's what can catch a lot of drivers out. That Maggots and Beggots section can really spring a few surprises, but Dirk, rounding the final couple of ends now, it's not been a shabby lap for the Dutchman.
Not at all. First of all, new championship leader Epic Vale sit currently, now up into provisional pole. First driver into the 25.4s, and from the top right down to the bottom, Dirk didn't get a time on the board. Now jumping up into third place. Some serious time starting to be put on the board. 25.4, 25.5 respectively for the pair of them. Enzo Sabaton invalidated on their first attempt. 102.4, a couple of tenths down on what they'll be looking to have through the first couple of sectors. Swinging it through Stowe Corner now. Alex Lofer now takes over back at the top of the timing charts. Adam, who has actually made it on time in the Papaya McLaren, fills into third place now. 3 drivers in the 125.4 club. Can Enzo Sabaton in the green machine potentially join them, cutting the beam? Not quite. Sotzin just behind his teammate Francesco Largo. Now with a Mercedes in between them. 25.6 for the pair of them, Oscar and Sabaton. As Jan also just inside, or just outside the top 10, sorry, in P11, just inside a 125.7. Still yet to see a time from Owen. in that Red Bull car. Balbelli has just completed a second flying lap, I believe, as well. Already over halfway through the session. How time absolutely flies. But the only driver in the 126s as it stands. Casper Flack picked up pole position in the first couple of races so far. But not quite been as convincing since then. The Scarlet Fry with a bit of a wobble also going through Maggots, Becketts and Chapel and 1 second down on their Delta, which is not ideal at all.
No, it's a bit of a shaky start for a few drivers in this qualifying session. It's not certainly been an ideal one if you are in that Red Bull. Still yet to get a lap time on the board, and the Irishman is known for being really in that middle of the pack, and sometimes really towards the top on a good day, and not having a lap time on the board. 7 minutes to go. Pressure is really on, but crossing the line, beginning a hot lap now, and it could be a deciding hot lap for in here, because we really need to get that really strong lap time on the board now, so you can really push on that final run, which at the moment the option isn't there. It really would have to be a little bit of a conservative final run, because you don't want to be qualifying 18th and without a lap time. That's really not going to be setting you up well for the race. It is a track you can overtake out though, so it's not necessarily the end of the world, but if you can help it, you definitely want to get a lap on the board, even if it's only in the region of 12th or 13th, because that is still going to put you in a better place for the race.
100%, and you don't want to put undue stress on your shoulders come that final qualifying lap, where you've got to leave everything on the table. Owen 11th in the championship so far, competed in 3 races, retired from the last week in Austria, but a 7th in Bahrain and a 4th in China. 102.3 as a 10th up on what Enzo Sabaton had through the first couple of sectors. So this could be looking at a potential high 125.5, which would see him nestle quite comfortably inside the top 10, coming up towards the Vale chicane now. Really aggressive turning, hustling the car through the apex of the chicane. Little bit of a wobble on the exit, but pulling gears round Club Corner. What is this going to be for the Rebel? It is inside the top 5, low 25.5, just over a 10th off the benchmark set by Alex Lowe for 5.5 minutes remaining. Matteo is out there on another attempt, but a 10th down through the first sector, picking up through Maggots, Becketts and Chapel, a little bit wide through the final part of it, in the Delta coming through the split, still down, this time by a 10th and a half, so I wouldn't be surprised if he bails into the pit lane. 5 to go, Max von der Geest 1 millisecond down on his personal best through the first sector.
Indeed, yeah, a real struggle, I think, for quite a few drivers at the moment, but Matteo bailing out of that one, and probably rightfully so. Wasn't necessarily going to be a real strong lap that he would have expected or wanted, so no point setting it for the sake of it, but Max von der Geest, he is on a lap, and he's improved in Sector 1. He's now going through Sector 2 as well. He's improving a little bit there, little by little. Max von der Geest taking himself up a few places at the moment, would put himself into about 5th place where Owen is at the moment, but if he's able to make that improvement, it will be very much dependent on these final couple of ends round the final corner now, and up towards the line. Where's it going to be? It is 5th for you, and that is a strong lap time from the Williams man, who takes himself up a few places, and every place counts. And for Epic Vale, he's only got 1 place to find, and he's on a lap at the minute.
Yeah, looking to take provisional pole back and improve it by 14 milliseconds. Max von der Geest, that was a very clean final sector as well, has to be said, and with that jumping up into the top 5 with 3.5, just over 3.5 minutes of the session remaining. The lime green Kicks Alba flashing into view as we come through Maggots, Becketts and Chapel, continuing to find time, no, losing time through the middle sector, a 10th of a second down, and that could be curtains for what will be their third flying lap of this qualifying session. Remember, we have a lobby restart, so you get your soft tyres back, and with this being one of the faster and slightly shorter circuits on the calendar, 4 runs a potential possibility for the drivers to use 3 sets of soft compound tyres. Who else are we looking at? Nobody on a lap at the moment. Dirk is invalidated, was down by a 10th and a half anyway, so that's not going to have too much of an impact on their session. Everybody returning to the pits, including the 2 Williams, the only drivers out on track. Longest pit lane on the calendar. Feels like an absolute age, it has to be said. And I think that is an Aston Martin that I can just see coming out onto the track, potentially giving themselves an opportunity for a couple of runs late on. Enzo Sabaton, the driver, driver nestled inside the top 10, 25.6 currently. We're now getting to the business end of the session. Alex Lofer leading the way, the championship leader, and Azim making up your top three as it stands.
Indeed, yeah, an exciting top three at the moment. And we're definitely getting towards that real business end of this session, and that's where the real difference is made. That final run, that's where everything is really at its highest. You've got to have every bit of concentration and energy directed towards this final attack. So I'm going to be really interested to see what we're going to get out of this one, because we really aren't that far away here from the end of this qualifying session. And Enzo Sabaton leading us away for it. He's given himself, as you said, quite a bit of time, but I don't think he's going to be able to get... Well, the only scenario where he gets 2 attempts is obviously if he invalidates very early on in the original lap, but he may... I don't even think he's going to get that. He's just going to be the first driver across the line. He's if he was trying to do that, he's misjudged it quite badly, as he won't be able to get a second run. This will be his final run for not only himself, but everyone beyond this point. That is it for qualifying. This is their final attempt. So if they invalidate here, it will be best where they are at the moment, but could be as low down as 17th. And everyone out on the circuit, Enzo Sabaton rounding down onto the straight here. That rear wing opens nice and wide, and now through the sweeping left, the tyres really screaming through this complex of corners as you head through the right, and well, the tyres just want to give up and give way, and well, sector 1 time wasn't ideal for Enzo Sabaton, but there's still 2 sectors to go, and there's plenty of time to be found.
Opportunity to recover. It wasn't down by a significant amount of time, but also not insignificant at the same time. Coming through Maggots, Beckett's and Chappell. Total confidence and commitment in the car required on turning and on the back of that car, but the rear end looking a little bit shaky for the Aston Martin. What is the Delta has found a little bit of time courtesy of, I think, just using those curbs a little bit more confidence potentially right at the end of the session. A third of a tenth up coming into Stowe corner now. Fourth last corner, pardon me, as we have 6 seconds left of the qualifying session. Count them down and the checkered flag will be waving. It's the Aston Martin. They'll be first over the line. Big Gagler cars in the middle sector currently, so we'll have to wait a little bit. Cutting the beam improves by 1 place, an 800th of a second from 10th up to 9th. Probably going to need a little bit more of an improvement. Marius is finding time. 0.2 of a second up onto the front row. Quarter of a second found, down by 17 milliseconds, but an excellent opportunity is Francesco Largo by 2 milliseconds now, taking over at the top.
Indeed, yeah, Francesco Largo, a real great lap time there. Won't be an improvement for Belwell. They've invalidated. Ryan is going to be the next man across the line on a lap time. What can he manage in this qualifying session? Well, he doesn't improve. I think he invalidated. Lifeboat goes off into the gravel. Not sure what's happened there. What could Casper Flag do? Casper Flag will make it improvement. One of the Mercedes there, that's Volokongan up to 6th. What can Oscar do? Only 10th for him. Next across the line, Guillen, he won't improve either. Now it's Epic Vale, he will stay 4th at best. Matteo goes up to 3rd, so that's an improvement there. Azim though, what can he do? He goes 3rd, slots in ahead of Matteo. Final driver across the line, and it's Owen once again. I believe he's already set his lap time though, so he won't improve. He slides across the line, and Ed's a qualifier. Don't think there was any, there was a change at the top, but once they got there, it was pretty locked down. Francesco Largo, what a lap there to take by just 2 milliseconds. That is slim margins.
Incredibly close. Top 10 covered by just over a tenth. Top 15 covered by just over 0.3, and Bell Belly, the only driver outside 3.5 tenths of a second of the pole time. Incredible stuff. Top 6 covered by 200ths. Absolutely unbelievable. And the championship leader will be maybe a little bit disappointed, slightly hard done by as well. 22 milliseconds off pole, starting down in position number 6. What we do have, a little bit of a lobby reset. What we're going to do is we are going to swap over. So the stream is going to end, but don't worry, we'll be back very, very shortly for what will be our 26th lap British Grand Prix. See you in a moment.